What does this verse mean to you particularly? The more I read about it, or think about it, I should say, it's very short. The more you just start seeing how powerful and really deep it goes. Like, you could take this verse and apply it really in every aspect of your life. Guard your heart at all costs, for what comes from your heart basically directs everything. When it comes to relationships, whoever you marry is going to drastically forever change your life. And you want that to be a good change. You want that to be someone who's going to support you, encourage you, uplift you, challenge you, and just walk this life together as one. Your heart's going to be very into that, we would hope, right? When it comes to your heart as a whole, what is your heart? Your heart ties into your mind, your passion. So I think of it in this aspect. I think God really wanted us to understand this, because whatever we focus on, our heart's going into that. Whatever we put any heart passion into, our heart's a part of it. With that being said, I think a lot of us, we put our hearts in all sorts of directions that sometimes we have to wonder, would God approve of this? Would God be happy? And I think sometimes we know better. Sometimes we have to be reminded of this verse. But then I have to wonder, for me, I read it for so long and always thought of relationships, you giving your heart to someone. But then the more you start analyzing it, digesting it, you start realizing more what I'm saying now. Whatever you put in your passion, your mind to, you put in your heart to. Anything you put your heart to, you're putting almost your soul. And then this is where things can hit a level of idolism. Which is a whole other topic, but it kind of ties right into this. I believe it does very well. The question I would have to leave and just always have to remind myself and ask myself, where is my heart? Where is my passion? Where are my eyes? What am I focusing on? Am I really digesting this verse itself and really digesting, like, where does this lead to? What is the end result? And the biggest question of all, would God approve? And I think that's sometimes a hard question. And it shouldn't be hard, I should say, because, some things have a very black and white area, and then other areas have a very gray area. And that's a whole other conversation in itself, but I would love to hear your guys' opinions on this. For me personally, that's how I digest it and see it. Whatever you put in your heart towards and giving your heart allegiance to, it's going to obviously affect everything, because whatever your heart is fully into, your mind's going to follow after. And if it doesn't, there's going to be this tension, this war. And that's where I think a lot of us, we need to ask ourselves, where is my heart? That's a deep question sometimes, because it's a very complex situation. I think it's very easy to realize what is an idol, what isn't an idol. A lot of us, we can idol cars, we can idol movie stars, musicians, games, just so many things we can put above God very easily. You can even idolize your wife, your girlfriend, you can idolize your boyfriend, you can idolize people in the wrong way. And that's where, you hear so many verses saying, put God first, put God first. And if you put God first, everything else follows after. And I think all that kind of connects very well, because, again, whatever you put in your heart, you're putting your allegiance behind. You're putting soul and passion. And from this, it's like a root that's super deep into the ground, that whatever it's watered by your attention, by what you're reading, consuming, listening to, it's going to flourish and grow. And then on a biblical standpoint, that sometimes can be very bad if you're in the wrong water, if your heart's in the wrong ecosystem. We'll leave it at that. Let's tie back to relationship. You can be in a toxic relationship where it's just draining, where you're working crazy hard to make things work and the other person's not, or vice versa. You have tons of arguments going on. You could easily say that water's poisoned, that root system's poisoned, that area in your heart's poisoned. And a lot of people, I think, they jump into relationships and this happens. We have another scenario in that sense. Sometimes you put your allegiance and your passion into a career path, for example. the farther down you get, the more you realize, wow, this isn't really actually healthy for my soul. It's too much. It's not really actually for me. There was elements of it that were really interesting by all means, but the farther in you get, you're like, oh, I don't know. So, summarize. I know I keep going on. Summarize, I think this whole verse is kind of like telling us to digest all of life and really see where it leads. If it doesn't lead pointing to God in heaven, I'll put a gray question mark on it, because you gotta really be in the light to be correct and right, and you'll feel alright, you know. And the Holy Spirit will encourage and more or less help guide you if you pray for that. Hey, if you like this video, please share it, and I would love to hear your comments. Just share them.